Hello world, I'm Smith Kingston, Houseplant Guru Extraordinaire. Joining us today we have Bob Duncan, Yabonton Melon, and the strikingly attractive Lady Space Cowgirl.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was. I mean, she's gonna get away with that kind of thing now because, you know. Wow. Let's move on. Did you just bring home a leafy beauty that caught your eye while you were out on the town? Are you wondering how to proceed as far as keeping it happy, but don't quite know where to begin? Maybe a photosynthetic friend who's been a part of your life for months or even years is starting to feel a little bit neglected and has sent you several subtle messages in the form of droopy, dried out leaves and slight discoloration. Keeping your plants happy is all about giving them what they need. Finding out exactly what they need, however, is only possible if you have first correctly identified your houseplant. If you've ever struggled to satisfy your potted partner, but didn't quite know where to begin because you weren't sure just who you were dealing with, then the counsel contained in this carefully crafted and competently constructed video is exactly what you need to hear. One thing to keep in mind when identifying any leafy friend is that identifying a plant correctly and identifying a plant specifically are not always necessarily the same thing. For example, aside from Yabonton Melon and Lady Space Cowgirl, I could refer to every plant here as a succulent, and that would be a correct identification. I could refer to either of these two succulents as kalanchoe, and that too would be a correct identification. But only these can be correctly identified as kalanchoe marnieriana or mariner's kalanchoe, and only these can be correctly identified as kalanchoe fedschenkoi or lavender scallops kalanchoe. Identifying your houseplant correctly is good, but if you're intending to conduct research, then identifying your houseplant correctly and specifically is better. So you think you found the common name of your unidentified photosynthetic object. Wow, that's great. Good for you, Derek. And yeah, in most cases, the common name is good enough. But the pinnacle of specificity, as far as houseplant identification is concerned, is the scientific name. This is the name that biologists use to classify every kind of living organism. When it comes to specifically identifying your houseplant, finding the scientific name should be your end goal. This is a two-part name that contains both the genus and species of the organism being classified. The first letter of the genus should always be capitalized, and the first letter of the species should always be in lowercase. If a website or label gives you a scientific sounding name, but the capitalization of the name doesn't follow this exact model, then maybe be just a little bit leery of the source and consider identifying that plant through other methods. This two-word system of naming things is often referred to as binomial nomenclature. Bi meaning two, nomial meaning name, genus and species, and nomenclature because of all of the angry gnomes that showed up and began accosting those poor scientists after they ate way too many of the mushrooms they were trying to classify on that tragic and fateful, yet historically mind-expanding day. Listen, I heard all of this from Yabonton Melon, and I'm like 60% sure that he's lying about the gnomes. I knew you were lying. Look, it's like I always say, anything extracted from a watermelon, be it sweet, seedy melon flesh, or juicy, delicious gossip, should always be taken with a grain of salt.
I really want to look at it.
Yeah, they are. Let's move on. It is always a good idea to identify your plant before you water it, cut it, repot it, or anything else. If you got your plant at Home Depot or a well-established nursery, then there's a good chance that it came with a sticker on its container that can tell you the plant's common name and its scientific name. This is ideal because from here you can go straight into the research phase. Before repotting, however, I highly recommend writing down your plant's scientific name in your houseplant care log. Or if you're not into journaling, then at least take a picture of your newly acquired leafy friend in this original labeled container with the sticker visible. That way, you'll be able to easily re-identify it down the road. If you brought your plant home from a farmer's market or a swap meet, then you may not have this luxury, and identifying this plant might be just a little bit trickier. Luckily for you though, this houseplant guru extraordinaire knows the difference between what is tricky and what is impossible. One popular method for identifying your mysterious new leafy friend that I would classify as pretty good is by the use of one of many smartphone apps that are designed to do exactly that. There are a lot of these apps available, and using one generally involves capturing a picture of your unidentified photosynthetic object, loading that picture into the application, and then hoping that the app identifies your plant correctly. I tested one called Plant Snap, and it got the right answer most of the time. In the description of this video, you will find a link that will take you to another video where a houseplant aficionado by the name of Harley G tests 8 of the most popular of these apps and lets you know which one she thinks is the best. Again, the only one of these apps that I personally have used is Plant Snap, but from the research that I've conducted, I've seen that a common thread that seems to have been woven through the entire houseplant identification application industry is that to identify your houseplants correctly most of the time is only mostly free. With Plant Snap, for example, you get 10 free snaps per day as long as you don't mind being advertised to. But if you want, you can go premium. This means unlimited snaps, no ads, access to a database that contains every photograph ever taken through the Plant Snap application, 24/7 access to their team of expert botanists, and access to the web-based version of Plant Snap. This costs either $3.99 a month, $14.99 a year, or $24.99 for life. Most houseplant identification applications are set up a lot like this, but it seems like the ones that work marginally better cost just a little bit more to use. Now, the secret weapon referred to in the title and thumbnail of this video, and my own personal favorite way of finding the scientific name of my own mysterious new leafy acquisition, is to use the Google Lens feature of the Google Photos smartphone application. To do this, just take a picture of your unidentified plant and then load that picture into the Google Photos application. Then, while looking at that picture in the Google Photos application, touch this Google Lens icon towards the bottom of the screen near the right. At this point, Google, using the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning, compares your picture with an untold and astronomically large number of other pictures from all across the internet, and then allows you to scroll through a list of pictures and links that it deems to be the most similar to the picture that you uploaded. Notice I said links. This is huge because you can follow these links to websites that will give you additional pictures and information. Now that Google has provided you with this metaphorical mountain of invaluable information, it's time for you to start digging. Keep digging until you've followed lots of links and have seen a plethora of pictures that look very similar to the plant for which you're seeking identification and give you a properly capitalized scientific name. Continue this process until you've seen the same scientific name on several sites that show pictures that look a lot like pictures of your plant. Also, the Google Photos application works on both Android and iOS, and it's free on both platforms, so that's cool. No matter which method you use to find the genus and species of your mysterious leafy friend, it is always a good idea to check your answer by conducting a Google image search, entering only the scientific name, and then seeing if the pictures that Google pulls up for you look like pictures of your freshly and hopefully correctly identified houseplant. Look very closely at several different pictures so you can be absolutely sure. Once you've done all this, go ahead and consider your houseplant to be correctly and specifically identified. And now, with the scientific name of your houseplant in your arsenal, you are more than well enough armed to go ahead and begin conducting your plant-sustaining research. Now, because most scientific names are hard to remember and tricky to pronounce, it's a good idea to, while visiting one of the websites to which your journey has taken you, take a screenshot of a page that displays both a picture of the plant and the plant's scientific name. Having this image saved in your phone or computer might come in really handy down the road. Even better than this though, is to write down the scientific name of your freshly identified potted partner in your houseplant care log. Now, if you're thinking that journaling isn't for you, I get it, but don't write it off completely before you check out this shockingly informative and hilarious video that illustrates just how beneficial keeping a log of all the care you give to your houseplants can be for those seeking to satisfy their potted partners in the long term. Hey, listen, do you like bad graffiti, worse jokes, wacky macrame, and pretty good advice about how to take care of your houseplants? Oh, well, you should still subscribe just to, be cool. Thanks, Bob Duncan. That's right. Click that notification bell too so you never miss a new video.